Politicians like to say that America was built on small business.
Time to stop runaway spending in Washington and help small businesses get the economy running once again. Hang in there, honey.
But most of these guys have never owned a small business and wouldn't be caught dead running one after leaving office. So we didn't talk to them. We talked to a guy who actually has to make payroll, Dennis Hof. Hoff has owned a series of successful businesses, from real estate to restaurants to brothels. He bought the Bunny Ranch in 1993 for $1 million. Since then, he has applied modern marketing techniques to the world's oldest profession.
I started as a young entrepreneur. My family didn't have any money. My dad was a mailman, hardworking guy after World War II. And I started out young. I mean, I was working at a Dairy Queen at 10 years old, sweeping the parking lot. And I moved on to being a paper boy, and I was like the world's best paper boy. Just delivered lots of papers. Moved into newspaper sales, and always a hard-working guy. I'm trying to fight my way out of that lower middle-class existence that my poor immigrant family was in. And when I was in college and in high school, I worked at gas stations. When I got out, I knew all the people from the oil company, bought a gas station. Ended up owning 10 of them in a towing business, in a garage, and then put that money into real estate. And moved on and did very well in real estate, and made really a lot of money doing that, a lot of money. And then had the opportunity to buy the world's oldest business, the Bunny Ranch.
As an entrepreneur and medium-sized business owner,
right.
Tell us what you think of how the federal government has handled the economic crisis.
Well, we went to the federal government last year and asked for $1 billion bailout, and we told them that the girls need hair extensions, they need manicures, they did a little time in the gym with a trainer, and so we needed $1 billion for that. And we did it tongue-in-cheek, that we were reaching out to our good clients, the politicians in Washington, and of course we don't want to embarrass them, we just want them to give us $1 billion like they give everybody else. The truth is our business is way up. And the reason is that a year and a half ago, I sat down with the girls and said, look, it's coming. This is going to be a problem, a real problem. And you're going to work harder than you ever have. You're going to take good care of your clients. You're going to give them more bang for the buck. And I'm going to go out and do more media than I've ever done. And we're going to weather the storm. We're going to work our way through this with positive mental attitude. And we have. Our business is up 20% in the worst year of American history.
How would you like to see the government handle the crisis differently?
Well, I think that they need to lower taxes, of course. That's always the thing that works. Lower the taxes, get the small business, get this money moving. What happened to all this $800 billion? Where's it at? It didn't get in the hands of the people. These bankers who messed up our country and robbed us all are now getting the $800 billion and doing the same thing with it. Where's the money?
Well, I was going to actually just ask what your response is to, Goldman Sachs and other giant banks have been raking in billions of dollars after receiving billions of dollars in government aid. What do you think about that?
In a terrible time when all the other banks are crashing, Goldman Sachs, are they that much smarter than everybody else? No. They had the inside track. They got their guy in the Treasury Department. I love that. It'd be like me putting me in there and letting me run some division. You think the Bunny Ranch would thrive? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It'd be a government program to keep crime down in prisons and have all the bunnies go in once a month and take care of everybody. There'd be, something to take care of these senators so they don't have to cheat and sleep with their employees and their wives' best friends and all that. We'd have some government program where the Bunny Ranch would get rich.
So, Larry Summers, Obama's top economic advisor, if you had 10 minutes alone with him, what would you say?
Keep these taxes low for a while. Keep money going to small business people. Help out with this health reform. We got to get this put to bed. It's a shame, a crime that our country, of our wealth and importance, has such a terrible system. Terrible system. Larry, we got to get a grip on these bankers, because these bankers, have pilfered our nation, and now they want to go global with it. They want to take their same nonsense and do it on a global scale, control the world. You know what? They might do it if we don't stop.
Now, you bought the Bunny Ranch in the early 1990s. How has the business of sex changed since then?
Well, the business of sex has changed drastically, and the Bunny Ranch has been in the forefront of it. You know, we're partially responsible for it. The other things that are responsible is the internet. That's changed everything. It's moved everything fast. Bill Clinton changed attitudes. He convinced the world that oral sex was not sex. What a score that was. I wish Bill had been president 40 years ago when I was scrounging around trying to get girls to do things with me, because they really believe that now. You know, this oral sex is not sex. That's great.
It's pretty clear that you've been really successful marketing yourself over the last 20 years. Could you tell us your own personal philosophy about marketing?
It takes a lot of nerve to get into a business that you have no education for. Nobody knows anything about the business. There's only a handful of these places in America. And so I just took and jumped into it and used generally accepted business and accounting practices, which was never done in the brothel business because it was all cash and hiding it. And you know, it's like, I don't want to go to jail, so I'm going to do it legit. And then use my marketing expertise. You know, I took a good product. I did the same thing with sex that Starbucks did with coffee and Krispy Kreme did with donuts. I put a whole new spin on it and was able to bring in higher quality product and charge reasonable amounts of money for it. And I'm a marketing guy. I come from the P.T. Barnum School of Marketing. You know, mention my name. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, spell Bunny Ranch right. That's all I care about. Wow, this is interesting. How American Airlines is charging $15 to put your bags on an airplane? Unheard of. Bunny Ranch got a press release. The Bunny Ranch, in support of its fine consumers, has decided that they will pay the $15 fee. You pay that $15, bring the receipt to me, and I'll apply. When you bag a bunny, you get your $15 back.